Alright, so this is my Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Wii U review. I already tried recording this before and the game audio was way too loud and you could barely hear me, so hoping that this all works out for this one. So, I just have some gameplay footage of my other videos playing here. So this is not really descriptive of exactly what I'm talking about at the time, but I just want to put some like B-roll or whatever in the background. So let's start with the setting. Mira. This is the planet you explore. It's very huge. It's incredibly varied in its design. Each area has its own vibe, both visually and musically, that really sets it apart. Sylvalum is probably one of the best examples of this. You'll immediately know you're in Sylvalum just because of the music and the atmosphere. It's just that distinct. And while they did reuse some of the enemy designs, it's not overwhelming and it doesn't really take away from how the world feels. Honestly, Mira feels like a living, breathing place, and I really think that this makes the game so immersive. Everywhere you go, it feels like alive, and you're just part of something way bigger. This is actually me fighting a tyrant, is what it's called, and then this like bomb ass music's playing right now. It's really good. It's rockin' music. So anyway, the plot. So Elma, which that's Elma right there. You saw for a very small second. She's a very cool character. She's very stoic and strong. But I wish that she had changed a little bit more throughout the game. She stays the same from beginning to end, kind of. You find out later that she is not who she appears to be, I'll just say. Which is kind of a big reveal. But even after that reveal, it doesn't really feel like that much is different. Now I'm thinking in the Switch version that it looks like a lot of the previous maybe cut content, as it were, is going to be showcasing and kind of make more of this, world basically making sense with, because she's like the main character, really, like, because you're kind of just like a sideline. I mean, like, you're the main character, but like you're nobody. Like, you're a silent protagonist that's, you're just a guy. You're part of Elma's team. It's not your team. So anyway, but basically, it's hard to say right now what that's going to be, but basically, so the main story kind of pulls you in at first, but after a while it feels thin. The story gets kind of stretched out with like these level requirements and these tasks, and just kind of slows everything down. The core plot revolves around a few characters like Elma and Lynn, but Lynn kind of feels out of place. She's like a kid. It's funny. It looks like they're changing this kind of like her age for the new version. She still has the same voice actress and everything and voice lines, but she was like way too young for the area, and it didn't, or this game, and it didn't really make much sense. She's like 13 or whatever, and she's just like acting like she's way smarter than everybody, and it's not. I don't know, it doesn't really make sense. But anyway, so there's these side stories, like side quests. They are a lot more engaging, and they offer way richer character development. I would say like the main story is probably like a 7 out of 10 for me, but the side stories are more like an 8 or a 9. Like, the side stories are really where the world really comes alive for me. Like, you make decisions in the dialogue and stuff, and it's basically like, I don't know, it feels a lot more like tuned to the player, whereas like the overall story is kind of like, I don't know, it's like more like introducing you to the world rather than telling you anything of note. So anyway, onto the gameplay mechanics. This is where things really start to shine for this game. For me, it's really the ground combat that's a lot more fun than the skell. So this is what you're seeing me flying at in right here. This is a skell, which you don't really get until 30 hours into the game, and you can't fly until, well, even later than that. But I love how this music plays when you're flying. So, like I was saying, the ground combat is a lot more fun than the scale combat. At first, I didn't really understand how important these TP arts are. It's really hard to explain the combat in a review, but basically, like, there's these actions, and a lot of them don't require anything, but like basically like a circle to go around, and that's kind of like the cooldown timer or whatever, or reuse timer. And then there's certain arts that you have to have a certain amount of TP, which is usually 1000 TP, which is like the only kind of bar other than a name P bar kind of, and the fuel gauge over there that you're seeing right now. And these TP arts are the strongest attacks, but there's ways to generate TP with the overdrive mechanic, which is you have to have 3000 TP to activate, and basically there's ways to like do huge amounts of damage, generate more TP, and just stay in infinite overdrive. And that's like the best way to do damage, and that's only on the ground. So what you're seeing me here right now, this is scale combat. So you have like all those abilities, and you shoot missiles and things like that. It's kind of like push button do damage for scales. It's not really that complicated. So I don't know, it didn't feel that interesting for the scale combat for me, but this is, very customizable, and it's kind of good, but just not anywhere near as good as the ground combat. There's these traits you can stack also in the ground combat, like Core Crusher, and like requires like ethereal damage, I think is what it's called, and you basically do like millions of damage if you get everything going. It's insane. So it is fun flying around and hearing this music. It does restart the music every time you jump off and stuff like that, but it's really fun. Hearing that very exciting music every time I would fly. I never got tired of it, really. The exploration of this game feels a blast. The world feels massive even when you're on foot. But when you get in a scale, it feels a lot smaller, which makes sense. It's not in a bad way. The fact that there are no loading screens unless you're fast traveling, which on the Wii U, it's like not too bad either with these fast travels, as you're seeing you fast travel around. It's kind of amazing that they were able to do this on a Wii U. So anyway, you can basically, like, there's no loading screens. You can fly. You're seeing me fly right now. You can fly in and out of a city, and there's no loading screens. You can fly anywhere, no loading screens. You will get some pop in though. You're gonna get some pop in. Sometimes you have to be like right on top of an enemy for it to spawn and stuff. But anyway, so the progression systems are pretty deep, but a little overwhelming. There's way too many characters. I ended up sticking with kind of like a few characters, and the other ones I just kind of leveled up for achievements or whatever, and doing their quests and stuff. But I didn't see a reason to go through all these characters. A lot of them were kind of like way better than others, and it didn't really make sense why they include all these characters. It felt like, I don't know, like they included more characters just to have more characters rather than to serve a purpose. But yeah, there's also way too much grinding in this game. Way too much. You basically will have to farm for parts to create augments, to create weapons, and that's kind of the whole meta of the game is farming things to create stuff, and it definitely drags on. I'm not sure how they're going to change this if they are on the Switch one. I hope they do. If it's like how it is in this game, I'm not going to want to play it again. At least not to this extent. Nowhere near this extent. I don't know if I'll bring up the menu anytime here, but you'll see I played this game for over 1,000 hours. But I mean, a lot of that was AFK, but I played this game a lot. I did everything. I did all the achievements. So I thought that so onto the graphics and visuals. I feel like they did a great job, especially on the Wii U. The art side was kind of like an anime-like realism, which held up pretty well over time. It's interesting to see how they're doing that in the Switch version. It's like way more anime-ish, so it doesn't show the Switch's cracks. And way more anime-ish than this one, that Wii U version. But the game does suffer from some draw distance issues where you'd have to be like right on top of something before it pops in sometimes. And this is a real pain when you're trying to spawn like or farm specific monsters. In those instances where you're trying to farm specific monsters, it's like you have to like wait like 5 seconds sometimes for it to load basically. And then yeah, it's not all the time though. It's not quite too often. What the hell is this? I don't even remember this thing. Is this like an alien spaceship? It's just so many friggin' monsters. I don't even remember this one. I'll just let the fight go on a little bit. So they do like soul voices, what it's called, when they call for help, and then you use that ability. Oh yeah, that was another thing, was the inventory. You can hold like 1,000 of every, like each different type of thing, but that's not enough. Like you're constantly looting stuff, and it's like random stats all the time. Yeah, so this is the fast travel. Oh, it's a little bit longer. I think I'm fast traveling to the town probably. So yeah, it takes a little bit. Yep, it was the town. All right, so overall, I thought the different areas looked visually distinct and looked great. They did reuse a lot of assets, like I don't know if it's assets, but they reused a lot of monsters in different areas and kind of like called them different things. But this game definitely pushed the Wii U to its limits. I thought that they did a great job. So let me talk about the sound and the music. So there is the battle theme, which is Black Tar, which is rockin' as hell. I want to play a little clip of it here. I don't want to mess up this though. Black Tar.
We're stuck on a whole different planet. No peace looking at the sky. Trouble's always all around, so we stay quick with the guns and cannons. Standing as long as we can until we get all dolls up. Then call our bets off with low guitar. Dealing with lives messed up.
So this is like the normal fight music, basically. I wish it didn't restart every time you fought another battle, but Like this is no right to be this good in this game. Like it feels so out of place because it's so far and above everything else. Yeah, this is just the normal battle music. So then another one I like is Don't Worry. This is the music that plays. See the one that has the. And there's no lyrics here. Yeah, and this music plays every time you jump up in the air and fly. Like, why is it so good? I don't understand. And then another one I'll play with you guys is the overdrive music, which is basically when you're going into kill them fast mode. Seems a little faster than normal. Yeah, this is actually German. I thought it was Japanese. YouTube apparently thinks that too, because if you watch the trailer for the new one, in the in the captions it says Japanese anime music playing or whatever when it's not. Basically, whenever you go into overdrive, it feels like you're going Super Saiyan. I felt so friggin' powerful when this music's playing. You're like bopping and you're just murdering. It's just, it feels really fucking good. Right, where did I have my thing at? No, none of that. Okay. Sorry, where was this? Hey, whatever. Let's move it a little bit. Oh yeah, that was when I went back there. Okay.
Bring on the adventure.
So the funny thing is yeah, that German song, I didn't even realize what that was. Another great track is Uncontrollable, which plays every time you're fighting a tyrant. It's funny, if you listen to the lyrics, it sounds like more of a relationship song. But the intensity is crazy during the song. It's really good. I don't want to go on too long about the songs, but man, the soundtrack is good. But yeah, also when you're fighting a tyrant, it's kind of funny because this music plays and you can just be like touching like a bug or something. If it's like and it could be a tyrant. It's just like has that purple, little weird bubble dot thing, and that's a tyrant. I don't know what that symbol even is, but you could just accidentally stub your toe and there'd be a tyrant there and its music starts playing. Oh shit! And I gotta fucking fight this thing or run away. Alright, so onto the multiplayer. So I did everything in multiplayer. I did all of the squad missions, all of everything you could do. I started playing this game because the servers were going offline and I didn't want to miss out. I met a lot of great people through the Discord, and the community really helped me learn how to farm gear. Like, and like the world bosses like Talithia and Yogreth Zero. But towards the end of the server life, hackers were ruining experience by killing these bosses like instantly, which wasn't very fun. But once the servers went offline, the game lost a big chunk of its appeal. Without the multiplayer, the game felt a lot more grindy than it already was. And solo grinding is just not enjoyable. The multiplayer added a lot to the experience, and without it, the game feels like it's missing something. And I wouldn't recommend playing the game without the multiplayer. Now, with the Switch version, obviously that'll be back. You'll have to pay for multiplayer now. It's not free like with the Wii U, of course. They definitely don't want to do that. But yeah, I would say without the multiplayer, it's not good. Don't do it. I would say pony up that $20 for the Switch one. Now, again, this is me reviewing the Wii U one, so I can't really speak for how it is, but it looks very similar. I don't really see too much different. All the Wii UI even looks a little cleaner and better, so I'm hoping that the new one on the Switch is a lot better. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend playing the game without multiplayer. It's grindy as hell. So I would say overall final thoughts here. Overall, Xenoblade Chronicles X is still a good game, but without the online functionality, I'd rate it closer to like a 7.3. The game is way too grindy, especially if you're trying to experience the end game. Without world bosses to farm materials, because those were online exclusive, you're left waiting for the enemy drops, and the grind can become unbearable. Some people enjoy farming for hours, but I am not one of them. I like to get things done and move on, but this game makes that tough. If you're playing just for the main story and the side quests, not worrying about the end game content, then the experience would be more enjoyable, probably close to like a 7.9. The combat is fun, and the music experience, and the music is still top tier, but for a completionist like me, the grind is too much. The game as it stands now, without the online features, I wouldn't recommend it. I'm talking about the Wii U version again. I would wait to the Switch version, obviously, and do it online, 100%. Don't even play around with that. So that's my full review. So I'm thinking probably the Switch version is probably gonna be closer to probably like an 8+ because of the additional stuff that they're adding. Hopefully it makes it a lot better. Hopefully they tone down the grindiness. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, that wraps up this video. And I'll try to see if we can get a better ending here. No, I'm just walking around doing quests and stuff. Okay. Alright, well, thank you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.